Hey everyone, so now we're going to be talking about food preparation and storage. When we're caring for clients at the comfort of their home, one of the major things we have to do is to be able to prepare food for them. But at the same time is not just preparing the food, but being able to make sure that we store it correctly to prevent any spoilages or any possible problems later on. So we need to be able to make sure that we are able to prepare great food and to be able to provide and actually store it correctly. So let's go ahead and get started. So let's go ahead and understand these factors to consider when planning a client's weekly meal plan. We need to look at their dietary restriction, their food preferences, the number of persons at meals, and the client's budget. Okay, so we may be asked to go with the client to the store or to be able to make sure that we have a supply of what's in front of us and to be able to actually plan a meal on a daily basis. So we need to remember that creating a meal plan includes snacks, not just meals, okay? Meal plan. That's why it's called a meal plan. It's not a snack, it's a meal plan, okay? And we need to be able to work with what is given around us. We need to work with our supervisors, the team, the nutritionist if one is available for the client. We need to be able to create that great meal plan. So we need to also look at some possible great nutritious snacks as alternatives for the clients rather than the high sugar or high sodium items. So we need to look at low salt pretzels, low sodium tomato juice or vegetable juice, celery with peanut butter or celery pretty much with just by itself or even like a light ranch, okay? Possible graham crackers and milk. Rice cakes are really great. Cereal and milk, but of course keep it where you're not using 2 servings at a time, okay? And possibly something with high fiber instead would be a good choice as well. Yogurt is great. Baked tortilla chips with salsa, carrot or celery sticks with salsa. There's a variety of different things that we can actually use and have, and as long as it's within the client's nutrition orders, okay? Some additional stuff that we can serve are crackers and cheese, gelatin with fruit, bran muffins and milk, raisins, anything with that's dried fruits are always great. Trail mixes are amazing. Apple with peanut butter, apple with cheese, fresh fruits, things that are high protein but low sugar, low sodium are great things to be able to be used to add to their snacks, to their care plans, or to their meal plans, okay? So when we're shopping for the client, we need to talk to the family members. Does the client, use coupons? Do they, buy particular foods in each season? Do they actually go to the large big box warehouse stores like Sam's Club or even Costco? Do they want, to avoid any processed foods? Do they like organic food? Do they like to buy cheaper brand foods? Do they prefer for us to look at the labels before, we buy things for them? We need to be able to make sure that when we are caring for a client, we also need to watch out for everything. Just not just being able to provide great care, but to be able to be an advocate for the patient themselves. Now, when we're deciding to, what to buy, there are several things we need to understand for the client. Nutritional value, quality, price, preference. Okay? Nutritional value, is this good for the client? Is this healthy? Quality, is it, made great? Is it, is it gonna have any problems? Is it gonna be a generic brand, or is it a brand name item? That also applies in regards to pricing. Okay, you're gonna have generic brands of the same type of thing is gonna be cheaper than the major brands. And also at the same time, by the end, it's the preference of the client that is important. So, which food groups are the most expensive? How much do the price of the food and the financial status of the client and family member affect the meal? Well, in regards for price, it does matter a lot, because if they're in a budget, then at the same time as they cannot be splurging on very expensive items. Now, let's say, for example, what food groups are the most expensive? Typically, if you really look around, things that are actually healthy for you are actually the more expensive ones. So we need to also look at the following points, especially when it regards to organic, local, or sustainable produced foods. So more people nowadays are trying to get into this whole organic diet or local growers or local vendors, and they're starting to get into this more often. But of course, at the same time, as these items can be or can cost more than typical. Your organic foods are like those produced without using most conventional pesticides, synthetic ingredients, bioengineering, or even ionizing radiations. Your organic meats, poultry, and eggs and dairy products come from animals that are given no antibiotics or even those growth hormones. Now for foods that are labeled organic, they must meet certain legal standards, right? So, are everything that is labeled organic? No. There's been a lot of vendors that's been caught using organic and they're not even organic. We need to remember that foodborne illness affects about 100 million people each year. So, if we're caring for elderly clients, elderly people are at increased risk partly because they may not see, smell, or taste the food that is spoiled. Okay? They also may not have the energy to prepare and store food safely. For people who have weakened immune systems because of AIDS or cancer, foodborne illness can literally be deadly. So we need to be able to watch and use the guidelines for food safety preparation. When we're preparing foods, we always want to be able to wash the hands frequently. You want to keep your hair tied back or covered. You want to be able to wear a clean apron or clean clothes. Wear gloves when you have to cut something. Wear gloves when you have a cut in your hands, especially as well. If you have to cough and sneeze, move away, cough, sneeze, but then you have to wash your hands right away again. You want to keep those countertop surfaces clean and disinfected. Handle raw meat, poultry, and fish carefully. Never use the same cutting board for every single thing, especially using meat, using the cutting board for meat and for vegetables at the same time. Don't do that. You want to be able to make sure you use hot soapy water when you're washing the utensils, the cutting board, or whatever you're doing. Okay? You want to thaw the frozen foods in the refrigerator. Don't leave the frozen food in the sink and come back later on the day and do it that way. Allow things to thaw inside the refrigerator. Okay? Always wash the fruits thoroughly. You want to cook the meats, the poultry, and fish thoroughly. Never use cracked eggs or serve raw eggs. Okay? I know Rocky the boxer does it well, but that doesn't mean you serve it that way as well. Okay? Make sure it's cooked well. Don't use the same utensil that you use to taste something with and then use it to stir with. Okay? Now, when we're preparing foods, variety of different ways to do it. Boiling, steaming, roasting, poaching, braising, baking, broiling, sauteing, microwaving, frying. And they also have now crock potting. Either or, you need to be familiar with these things. Okay? Now, not everybody's a great cook, so we're not expecting you to become the Chef Boyardee or to be able to be the next Bobby Flay when caring for a client. So we need to be able to make sure that no matter what, the client is aware of what they're preparing with. And it's up to your facility to be able to determine what they want you to do for the client. Also, you can also involve the client's family with those questions and services that you can offer. Now remember, uncooked fruits and vegetables should be washed well and are more difficult to digest and chew, okay? Because of this, they may be less appropriate for some clients, okay? So some elderly clients, maybe we should be serving them something that's been cooked a little bit, that's been steamed, okay? That's been processed a little bit because it's going to be easier for them to chew and to be able to swallow things. Now, if a client has had a stroke or difficulty chewing or difficulty swallowing, you might have orders, for mechanically altered diets, okay? Where unfortunately they have problems chewing or to be able to masticate things. So we would have to unfortunately cut things smaller for them to make it easier. We might have to use equipments like a blender to be able to mechanically, cut the things up better into easier particles to be able to chewed and swallowed. Okay? We need to be able to understand that seasoned foods are seasoned foods. So there are particular things that a client wants that they may not get because it's seasonal. And always anything that we serve, we want to be able to follow the directions. If there's any things that we need to prepare for the client, we need to follow directions. So moving on, we're going to talk about nutritional supplements. You are going to be having clients that's going to need help with their medications. And you're going to help kind of set them up for them, but they still need to make sure that they take it themselves. Now, there are going to be some supplements that's going to be requested that the client actually takes. There may be times also that clients are taking a lot of supplements that are not even in their doctor's orders. The doctors needs to be aware of what anything that the client is putting in their mouth. And so if they are utilizing other companies or utilizing other supplements, that we need to be able to make sure that we are able to give it correctly and make sure that the doctor is aware of it as well, just in case there's any interactions with other medications possibly. So let's talk about the low fat food preparation, right? We talked about the different ways to, prepare food earlier on today. But if we are trying to make a low fat food preparation for the client, always make sure that you cook foods that are lean, right? You want to be able to drain any excess fat when you're cooking things. You want to be able to plan ahead to be able to figure out what are the healthy items or substitutes you should be using. You want to be able to try to substitute or to really just eradicate fat from your diet. Now, when you are out there shopping with a client, okay, try to pay attention to these guidelines. Buy the cold food last, get it home fast. So what that means is if you're buying ice cream, milk, or any of those kind of things that have been refrigerated, you want to use that last so that it's cooler for it and it gives you more ample time to get home. Now, if you, for example, best way to describe it, are going shopping and you have a lot to buy and you decide to buy ice cream first and put that in the cart, well, by the time that you're done, it's going to be kind of melted, and by the time you get home, it'll be melted even further. So you want to be able to buy the cold stuff last. You want to be able to keep it safe, refrigerate, meaning that you need to refrigerate everything to be able to avoid anything from, unfortunately spoiling. Refrigeration does not really stop the bacteria, but what it does is it slows it down. It slows it down. I'm so sorry, to be able to make things easier. Always use small containers that seal tightly when you have food that are prepared and you need to store them. And this is a really good saying: when in doubt, throw it out. Okay, when in doubt, throw it out. Now, some elderly people out there who are on tight budgets or who are forgetful, they need to be able to be reminded to throw away old foods. So we need to make it a habit, at least when we first move into a client's house to be able to provide care, is to look at their home environment. Look at the food that they have stored up at their refrigerator. Are there any things in there that are expired? Look at their medication cabinet. Make sure nothing is actually outdated. It is very important because foods that are outdated can cause problems for the client itself. So we just touched bases on food preparation and food ideas and how to be able to care for the client. We will be faced with clients with this particular situation. Our main goal here is to be able to give you enough information to be able to provide great care for the client at their homes. So just make sure you pay attention well, and you have any questions, just give ahead and give us a call or give us an email, and we can definitely help you out on this.